Thank you. We're back after a short break. We had a flurry of activity in terms of motions, and Ms. Winter has earned her pay for this month and next month all in one night. We appreciate that. We do need to extend our meeting beyond our cutoff time at 10 o'clock, and we will be able to finish our budget this evening. So it'll be time well spent. Administration, thank you for staying. It's much appreciated, and council as well too, of course. So I will wait for the motion to be put on the screen to extend our meeting when it's available. Just bear with us for a moment, please. We'll move it. I'll ask you in a second. Thank you. Councilor Miller, would you care to make the motion, please?
Sure thing. I move that council extend the special meeting past 10 o'clock p.m.
Thank you, Councilor. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, Council, would you please vote to extend our meeting? That carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. So we're going to proceed with our motions from earlier this evening's discussions. Our first motion will be regarding the RCMP letter that was moved by Councilor Tessier earlier. I'll have Councilor Tessier actually make his motion in a moment here when it's on our screen. Sorry. Then we're going to do the budget one. We'll do the RCMP letter one first. It's not a budget implication. Councilor Tessier, please make your motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that the mayor, on behalf of council, be authorized to sign a letter to the Minister of Public Safety requesting an increase of 2 regular members assigned to the City of Beaumont's Municipal Police Service in accordance with sub-article 5.1 of the Municipal Police Service Agreement, and confirming the city's incremental financial commitment for the costs for the requested increase in personnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. I see no mood for discussion. We discussed it early enough to add length. So with that, Council, I'll ask you to vote on the motion before you. That motion carries 4-3 in favor. Councilors Tessier, Daniluk, Miller, and Van Newkirk in favor. Thank you, Council. Our next motion will be related to the budget itself, and we'll wait for the motion to be put on the screen. Councilor Cook will move the motion when it appears on the screen. Thank you, Councilor. I'll come to you in a moment. The block. Okay. I believe we should, Ms. Winter, have Councilman Cook read the motion. It is lengthy, but I think for clarity purposes, we'll have you read the motion. So when you're ready, Councilman Cook, please proceed.
I move that the unfunded 91,000 Bibliothèque de Beaumont Library be added as a funded item in the 2023 operating budget, and that the funded service transformation initiatives budget be reduced from $685,000 to $500,000 in the 2023 operating budget, and that administration increase the 2023 Planning and Development Department expenditure by $100,000 for a compliance and inspection officer FTE position, and that funding in the amount of $100,000 from the financial reserve be added to the 2023 operating budget for undertaking a Beaumont healthcare needs assessment to identify current and future healthcare needs, and that by the 2024 budget deliberations, an action plan be developed based on the needs assessment results and provided to council for consideration of potential next steps.
Thank you, Councilor.
Just sorry, question. Do we have to add the 50,000 one on that for the community events?
Oh, at the top.
At the top.
Sorry.
And that funding in the amount of 50,000 be added to the 2023 events budget for planning and paying for community events activities such as Beaumont Days, Family Day, and Canada Day.
Thank you, Councilor. Before I go for discussion in a moment here, Mr. Blanco, could you put, or Ms. Mead, can you put on the screen now the final number based on this group of motions, so we're clear on what that number is before I go to discussion on the motion? That's at 5.4, Council. With that, I'll open the floor to discussion on the motion. Councillor Tessier, I believe you wish to speak.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to amend the original motion, please.
Okay. I believe an amendment has been prepared for you. Wait for it to come on the screen in a moment. Actually, please state it first, then we'll speak to it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move that the proposed motion on the floor be amended by removing the 2023 Planning and Development Department expenditure for the Compliance Inspection Officer FTE position.
Thank you. Before you speak to it, Councillor, I'll ask Mr. DeBlanco, could you, just for clarity purposes, could you read to the screen and take out the 100,000 to show council what the result would be that they're discussing on the amendment, please? Just so we're clear. I'll have Councillor Tessier speak to it and then I'll open up the questions from council. That puts us at 4.9. Councillor Tessier, do you wish to speak to your amendment?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I do. So under planning and development right now, we have 3 funded positions and we added that extra position. They're already getting complemented by these 3 new positions. The compliance and inspection officer is a want and will get done in the next coming years or in the next upcoming year or year after. I don't see it as a need right now. I think we got a lot of good things on the budget. I personally, I would like to be under the 5% mark. I think the previous number was just too high for my comfort. Planning and development's getting their 3 they asked for. They didn't ask for the 4th one. It was unfunded. We added it in there. I don't think they need it at this moment. And I'd rather take the savings to the residents and be happy with what we have moving forward with the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Markov-Swain, you wish to speak? Sam, you have the floor, followed by Councillor Miller.
Yeah, I'm opposed to this motion. I think we could all remember how many people have come to us and said, you know, we are struggling with the inspections out there in the field. I know the number up there is 50,000, but there's 100,000, but effectively it's going to be 50,000 this year. For $50,000, for me, we're going to reduce a significant amount of complaints that come into us. I know you're trying to get under a number, but for me, I don't look at necessarily the percentage. I'm looking at the value, and the residents are crying out for us to make sure we get those development inspections, specifically in construction areas. And for 0.2%, I think it's worth including in. So I'll be voting against this motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Miller, followed by Councillor Newkirk, followed by Councillor Tessier. Ashley, you have the floor.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I support this motion. I know when we break it down, we can go by 0.4, 0.2, we can get into those kind of metrics, but it all does add up and it all does play a part. So for this one specifically, I support this specific line item, but that doesn't speak for the entire budget as a block, just this line item. So that's where I'm at.
That is correct. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Newkirk, Steve, followed by Councillor Tessier for a follow-up. Steve, you have the floor.
Yeah, speaking to the amended motion, I'm not there for this one. We've had so many complaints that would have a mechanism to be responded to for a $50,000 effective amount in this budget. We've heard before on a couple of the other positions that we had 100,000 up there, but effectively 50,000 will be spent this year just due to timing and such. So again, for the $50,000 position in the size of the operating budget that we are approving in front of us right now, I do believe that this position is a foundational position for the planning and development group. So I will not support the amending motion. My preference would be to leave the 100,000 in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Barnhart, you wish to speak before I go back to the motion maker? Councillor Tessier, Kathy, you have the floor.
Thank you. Just, in relation to the, thank you, Mayor, for the amendment. I'd support the amendment. I think Councillor Tessier has brought forward a good point. No one likes to pay more taxes than they need to. And of course, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it does it does affect individuals and individual homeowners, probably more than we realize at times. So I'm really happy with what's in the budget, and I do think that that is a want at this point, and we can get to it in another way sometime soon. But I would support Councillor Tessier's motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McCook, do you wish to speak? Kat, you have the floor, Kat.
Yeah, I will support Councillor Tessier's motion in this. I think, while I agree, it is a very incremental percentage, in these times when, budgets are tight for everyone, that sometimes those incremental percentages, make a difference, and this was unfunded. While I certainly see the value in it, I think that's something that we could easily do next year, and I hope that it's brought forward next year if this fails. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Appreciate that. And I will be not in favor of the motion for the reasons outlined by Councillors Monkoff-Swain and Councillor Van Nuker. So with that, I will bring it back to Councillor Tessier. It is your motion for a final comment before I call for the vote on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor.
Only the amendment.
Yes, only the amendment. I understand your sides to being opposed to it. I think it has an opportunity to come back. I really think it's a want right now. Personally, it's a place we can get some savings towards the residents, and that's the biggest part to it. And then it wasn't funded. It wasn't even mentioned as an unfunded position. So it must not be needed that badly, or else it would have been listed in the unfunded at least, right? So it wasn't even in the budget at all. I don't think it's a huge miss that we're not getting it, but it's on our radar now for future looks. So appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. With that, I will ask Council, I'll call for the vote. Council, if you're voting yes, you're voting to take it out of the budget. If you're voting no, you're voting against the amendment. So with that, Council, just to be clear, please cast your votes. Motion carries 4-3 in favor. Councillors Tessier, Barnhart, Miller, and McCook. Thank you, Council. So we're going back to the original motion that has been amended now to a net tax increase of 4.9%, not 5.4%. Ms. Winter, we don't have to redo the entire motion by verbally. We can simply take out the one that was defeated and continue with discussion on the motion for the motion as it was presented. Any further discussion on the motion? Yes, as amended. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. Council, seeing no further discussion, I will ask you to vote on the amended motion for the tax increase overall, which results in 4.9%. Council, please vote accordingly on the motion. And that carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much, Council. Ms. Winter, I believe that brings our meeting to a close for this evening. What is the next step in terms of, do we have to pass a motion on the overall budget itself? Or we've done that now with this last motion, just to be sure I've got my procedure correctly. Mr. Dowler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think procedurally what will happen is administration will take the motions that have been passed here tonight. I don't want to say redo the budget, but have those reflected in the budget document. Come back at a meeting in April, I believe, to council where the official budget will be approved at that point in time with a motion that aligns to what the final numbers are and to the 4.9% tax increase that was approved tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Dowler. So having said that, I want to thank administration for your patience staying this evening. It saves us coming back tomorrow night. Time well spent. Ms. Winter, again, thank you for all the work you've done this evening, over and above the normal work you do for us. Much appreciated. Council, I think we landed on a fantastic budget. We did some creative work at the end. Motions were flying, discussions were flying. I got a little testy for a second there. Apologize for that, but I got 6 people talking at the same time. I got a little, it's like when you have 6 kids in the home. Couldn't handle it for a second there, but nonetheless, the transformation initiative, I think, is absolutely huge. I was in favor of it before, and council came around and fought what to make it work. I'm thrilled with this budget, what we've done so far. So I know it's late. I'll stop talking. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy tomorrow night that you've got.